Hello everyone, I am Dr. Pravin K. Patel, an assistant professor of English at Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. I am offering an online 12-week course on health humanities, Indian and Western medical knowledge traditions. This course explores the intersection of the humanities, social sciences, and medicine in Indian and Western medical knowledge traditions. It examines health, illness, and well-being in various social, cultural, historical, and political contexts. This course has a number of modules which are as follows. Week 1 is about Introduction to Health Humanities, where I'll discuss about what is health humanities. I'll talk about the basic concepts, basic theorists, and basic methods, where my focus will be how a researcher can apply those methods and approaches in his or her study of medical humanities. Further, I will talk about narrative medicine, storytelling, metaphors through health, literature, and arts. The week 2 is devoted to critical history of medicine, where I will talk about the politics of health and medicine, how medicine, illness, and health are constructed in different societies, in different places, in different cultures. And hence, I will also explore health and medicine across time and across species in 3 different lectures. And then I will talk about public health and medicine in the 19th and 20th century. The week 3 is about health humanities and Indian knowledge traditions, where I will talk about ancient Indian medical traditions, and my focus will be on Charak's pharmacy, Buddhist materia medica, how Buddhist philosophers and thinkers have used and talked about the medical systems and medical practices. And then I will talk about Indian pharmacology. The week 4 is about health humanities and Western medical knowledge traditions. Here I will talk about health, illness, and Western modernity. And here I will be focusing upon how the idea of illness and medicine develops the notion of normative medical practices. I will be also focusing upon the evolution of teaching hospitals, the origins of hospitals, the birth of clinic. Further, I will talk about Western medical tradition in colonial India, how Western medicine was introduced in India, what was purpose behind that, and how it was exploiting the Indian people, not only Indian people, but also Indian culture and traditions. And the focus is to expose the hegemony of British power through Western medical traditions, and how medicine served as a colonial power during the colonial period. The week 5 is titled as Health Humanities, Trauma and Literature. It will make one understand what is trauma and what are its different thinkers, concepts, and different methods. Then I will talk about trauma in different literary genres, different novels, different poems. And then I'll talk about trauma in the post-colonial fiction, where my focus will be how the Western medical practices were part of the encounter between indigenous people, culture, and tradition, and how they were exploiting the indigenous people and culture. Week 6 is titled as Health Humanities, Mental Health, and Literature. Here I will talk about what is mental health, and then I will focus upon mental illness in Shakespeare's plays. Then I'll also focus upon modernity, T.S. Eliot, and mental illness, where I'll explore the role of mental illness that is represented in T.S. Eliot's poetry and how Eliot depicts mental illness. Further, I will talk about mental illness in Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar. And also I will focus upon contemporary Indian novels and films. And in this way, I will explore mental illness in a large number of texts. And the purpose is to provide a variety of points of view, a number of perspectives on mental illness. The week 7 is about health, humanities, aging, and literature. And it deals with an introduction to aging, and then I'll focus upon the concept and development of aging. Further, I'll talk about socio-cultural narratives of aging, and then aging in Indian and Western literatures. The week 8 is about health, humanities, disability, and literature. The focus is on introduction to disability studies, and its methods and approaches, and it will help one to understand and read disability studies not just by learning the concepts but also applying these methods and approaches in their research and further studies. I'll be also talking about the representation of disability in English literature, and then my focus is on disability representations in Indian socio-cultural and legal discourses. It will assert and affirm that how different cultures have their own patterns of the representation of disability. I'll be also talking about disability, normalcy, and power in H.G. Wells's The Country of Blind, and how it critiques the idea of normative order. How it critiques the concept of normalcy is very significant in this story. The week 9 is about health, humanities, gender, and medical practice, where I'll give an introduction to gender, sexuality, and health, and then I'll focus upon how medical practices, healthcare are gendered, and how different genders, beginning from a woman to LGBTQ, queer, transsexual people, have different kind of experiences of medical care practices. And then I'll be talking about gender, illness, and health. Further, my focus will be on trans medicine and gender politics. It will help one to understand the idea of the health and its concerns in the trans people. Then I'll move to black women's health and medical practices. Here my purpose is to bring Western medical intervention in the life of black people, and the purpose is to explore how Western medical interventions were part of exploiting the black woman and their health. The week 10 is devoted to health, humanities, planetarity, and literature. And this week is about the health of planet, because one has to think not only about the health of human beings, but planetary health is also important. The health of non-human beings are also important. Further, my focus will be on post-humanism and environmental futures. This lecture will explore the future of environmental health. Once one is moving from human-centric world to the post-human world. I'll be also talking about human-nature relationships and planetary health in Amitabh Ghosh's The Sea of Poppies and in Shakespeare's Tempest. And these two texts will provide two different approaches, two different perspectives about human-nature relationship and planetary health. The week 11 is about comparing Indian and Western medical knowledge traditions. In this week, I'll focus upon how two different medical traditions have been evolved, what are similarities and differences between them, and how they construct their idea and notions about medical ethics and medical practices. And briefly, I'll compare about Indian and Western classical medical traditions, where I'll focus from ancient medical practitioners in Greek and Western context, and then ancient Indian medical practitioners. Then I'll be also talking about medical ethics in Indian and Western traditions. The week 12 is a concluding week. And in this week, I'll talk about the future of healthcare. How does health humanities reimagine? What are the components, methods, approaches, and tools of health humanities that can shape the future of healthcare in India and around the world? Further, I'll talk about the role of technology, AI, and how it shapes the future of healthcare. I'll be also talking about yoga and the future of healthcare. And then I'll move to the final lecture, which is titled as Health Humanities and the Future of Healthcare. This course has a very vast number of references in terms of novels, poetry, drama, memoirs, autobiographies, essays, short stories, films. These references can go back to Shakespeare, then one can refer to Milton and many other British writers. For example, like Matthew Arnold, Keats, and in the contemporary times, one can also refer to Ian McEwan, Kazuo Ishiguro. Then we have a number of references to American novels and many French and other Western novels and literary texts. I'll be also focusing upon a number of theorists and how they have developed the concept of medical practice, beginning from Francis Bacon, Kant, Descartes, and many others. I'll be also tracing the ethical, social, cultural, and political aspects of medicine from magico-religious tradition to present-day advancement of AI, human clones. So this course is useful for UG, PG, PhD students in humanities and social sciences. So please join this course. Thank you.